Coming up tonight on YCN News, 3 teenagers from Claremont are killed in a car accident. An industrial-sized battery charger may have played a role in the 3-alarm fire that roared through a southern Vermont lumberyard Sunday night. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Monday edition of YCN News. I'm Erin McClory. 3 teenagers from Claremont are dead, one of whom just graduated from Stevens High School in June. Another remains in critical condition at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center in Lebanon. New Hampshire State Police are investigating the crash, which demolished the 1997 black Saab the 4 teens were speeding in, say police, along West Unity Road early Sunday morning. The only teen who is being identified in this deadly crash is 18-year-old Brittany Bailey, the high school graduate. Bailey was a passenger in the car. The driver and another passenger, both 17, were also killed. The identities of the 3 other victims are being withheld, including their gender, per a state police press release. A 4th 17-year-old was med-flighted to DHMC. Hospital spokesman Rick Adams could not release any information on the teenager for a lack of name and pending that, parental consent. Police say the 17-year-old driver of the car lost control of the car as he or she drove north on West Unity Road around 2 a.m. yesterday morning. The car was traveling at a high rate of speed and it hit a tree. The car was split into 2 separate pieces. A state police accident and reconstruction team continues to investigate the crash. Local police worked with state police at the scene yesterday, including the Unity and Leominster Fire and Rescue Departments. Firefighters from the Claremont Fire Department also assisted. State Trooper Thomas Conlon seeks the public's help with any additional information about the crash. It does not appear, Conlon writes, that drugs or alcohol were involved in the crash. Conlon can be reached by telephone at 603-223-4381, extension 10059, or by email at thomas.conlon@dos.nh.gov. An industrial-sized battery charger may have played a role in the 3-alarm fire that roared through a southern Vermont lumberyard Sunday night. Around 8:30 p.m., area fire departments rushed to the scene of the fire at Sheehan and Sons Lumber, WNTK reported on its website. The lumberyard is located at 251 Stoughton Pond Road in Perkinsville, Vermont. Stoughton Pond is located off Route 106. Perkinsville is a village within the Windsor County town of Wethersfield. Firefighters were on the scene until 10 p.m. Heat from the battery charger may have worked its way up a nearby wall and led to the ignition of the fire. The specific cause of the fire remains unknown and an investigation continues. Along with statewide choices, voters in November who live in Claremont also will have the chance to vote up or down the proposed charter change. The draft of the new charter, the first review of the city charter in over 10 years, met with overall approval recently by the New Hampshire Attorney General's office, the Eagle Times reports. What isn't meeting approval is wording related to a candidate form that residents seeking election must appear at prior to inclusion on a ballot. Assistant Attorney General Stephen Labonte explains current law does not mandate any candidate participant in a forum in order to be listed on a voting ballot. Since the New Hampshire State Legislature expanded Medicaid earlier this year, over 9,000 submitted applications have been approved. Governor Maggie Hassan says just under 9,400 applications for medical insurance have been filed since August 1st. Residents interested in signing up for Medicaid have until August 15th to do so. Hassan's announcement today comes as she proclaims this week as Community Health Center Week. By expanding Medicaid, allowing residents whose incomes are not high enough to meet the cost of other medical insurance, the state's well-being is enhanced. Hassan says it gives people peace of mind knowing they are covered by health insurance. And it's better for the state's economic health because more people will seek primary care rather than the more costly emergency room treatment. When YCN News returns, we'll continue with more news.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Erin McClory. In other Vermont news, several of the state's downtowns are the beneficiaries of tax credit awards. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin made the announcement today in Burlington, home to one of the downtown development projects. In all, the state is earmarking $2.4 million in tax incentives to 37 projects. The money directly benefits nearly $78 million in downtown and village center construction and rehab projects. Revitalizing the state's downtowns with new investment, new physical looks, and new jobs can have positive effects, says Shumlin. Today's investments will pay dividends for Vermont's next and subsequent generations, he says. These sites include 6 Island Street in Bellows Falls, known as the Island District, a former heavy industry location. Town officials will be able to fix up a former warehouse for new commercial use. Plus, this former warehouse will be used for artist studios to bring culture and color to downtown Rockingham. The Island Project rehab will cost about $225,000. Tax credits toward the cost total $42,500. In Brattleboro, a former auto dealership will continue to be made over into a site for 24 apartments and 3 to 4 commercial businesses. Known as the Manley Building, this location at 29 High Street will get a new electrical system to go with earlier sprinkler system upgrades and a building elevator. The cost to bring better and more affordable housing to local residents comes in at nearly $282,000. Tax credits awarded the project total $25,000. Renovation of the historic Brooks House at 128 Main Street in Brattleboro continues as new residential and commercial tenants occupy the building. And students attending Community College of Vermont are among the mix of building's new users. Ongoing support from Brattleboro's downtown program will continue to upgrade the building to handle technology as it continues to develop. The cost to bring this building back to its former glory is $23.6 million. Tax credits helping to defray expenses total a bit over $571,000. And in Putney, a nonprofit center will benefit from $12,390 in tax credits. The cost to bring up to code 10 Christian Square, also known as the Putney Community Center, is about $109,000. Much needed repairs and the renovations for the site's interior and exterior will be done. Organizations that rely on the Putney Community Center as a base of operations include the Putney Food Shelf, the Consumer Cooperative, the Putney Mountain Association, the Compass School, and the Putney Mountain Morris Women. Summer means road work throughout our area, and with that, a reminder from state police to obey the need for slower driving speeds in work zones. A 61-year-old New York man is learning that lesson with a court date. Charged with driving excessively fast and negligently, Vermont State Police ticketed Nadine Hamilton of Great Neck, New York, for driving 84 miles per hour in a posted 50-mile-per-hour construction zone on I-91 in Brattleboro. Hamilton was stopped yesterday afternoon around 4:20 p.m. and arrested by police on the charges. He was cited and released. Hamilton is scheduled to appear in Vermont in Windham Superior Court on September 16th. Meanwhile, Rutsboro Road in Hanover, New Hampshire will reopen this afternoon. On Wednesday, the Highway Department will be installing a guardrail in this area, which will cause minor traffic delays. A summertime tradition continues to grow in popularity. We're talking about the annual New Hampshire League of Craftsmen's Fair. For 81 summers, including this one, the fair showcases the best in handmade arts from different materials. YCN News caught up with Executive Director Susie Lowe-Stockwell to learn more about who visited this year's fair.
It's a great experience if folks have never come before, and certainly the place to be for folks who know what they're looking for. This is a really unique experience. This is not your little church bazaar. This is something that will absolutely blow you away with the quality of the work, the amazing demonstrations and workshops. You can get your hands into the clay, take a glass blowing workshop, sit with the blacksmith. You'll just be amazed. You know that when you come to the annual Craftsman's Fair that all of the work that you see has been juried. We have very high standards. Every single one of the craftsmen here have gone through a rigorous jury process, so the work is top-notch. There are an amazing array of crafts, metal, fiber, glass, metal, jewelry of all types, wood, some photography and prints. There's something for everyone. This is really a family event. It's a wonderful experience for families to bring their children. They can have the children sit at the pottery wheel and experience something that they might not have ever done before. And there's all kinds of entertainment for the family too. It's a real family-friendly event.
This year's fair just closed, but save the date for summer 2015. The fair is held the first full week and weekend in August at Mount Sunapee and Newberry. To learn more about the league, go online to nhcrafts.org. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Erin McClory. Now, Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Erin. Tonight we're expecting some patchy fog after 3 a.m. with partly cloudy skies and lows in the 50s. Tomorrow morning will be foggy until 9 a.m. Skies will be partly cloudy with a high of 77 degrees and winds up to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow night will have a 70% chance of rain after 1 a.m. Lows will be in the 60s and winds will remain calm. Wednesday will have a 90% chance of showers and a possible storm producing heavy rain. Highs will be in the upper 60s with winds around 5 miles per hour. Wednesday night will have a low of 56 degrees with mostly cloudy skies and possibly heavy rainfall. On our satellite map, we see lingering storms. We are expected to be hit with storms by Tuesday night, which will continue into Wednesday night. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in Grantham, New Hampshire, Music in the Meadow will begin at 6 p.m. In Canaan, New Hampshire, the Cardigan Mountain Tradition will have bluegrass in the gazebo at 7 p.m. In Vermont, the Windsor Select Board will meet at 7 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. Now let's take a look at the results from this weekend's 3-game series between the Fisher Cats and Akron. Starting on Friday, the Fisher Cats suffered a 3-1 loss at Akron. On Saturday, they had success with a 5-2 win. The game featured some great plays, including a homer by Mike McDade and runs by Michael Krause and Yusef Carter. On Sunday, the Fisher Cats lost their 3rd game with the final score of 9-3. Tonight is the Fisher Cats' day off, but they will continue Tuesday with the start of a 3-game series against Richmond at the Manchester, New Hampshire field.